Thank you for joining this live. Today is going to be a very special live for a couple reasons. One reason is it's National Be Kind Day, which I feel like is a really, really fun day to be kind. And by the way, thank you to everybody being really kind to me because I posted a weird TikTok today where I was in my closet and people were really nice to me and actually cared. Thank you for caring. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Just something weird happened. I'll probably tell you a story. Was the first live on accident? Okay. So here's what happened. Okay. It's hard to explain. But I went live and I was really excited, and then I realized that I wasn't recording because basically I decided to do a podcast every day. So basically all my lives I film on Anchor while I do them and then put them on Spotify, YouTube and everything, so that way people can go back and listen, or if they miss a live they can do it, or if they just want audio and don't want video. But it's weird because I forgot. And so then I went live, and then as soon as I went live, I realized that I forgot. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. So then I was like, oh, okay, we're good. I remember now. And by the way, since somebody asked me why I hid in the closet, I might as well just tell you. Do you want to hear? I don't know. You won my favorite pop singer award. That is so nice of you. I really appreciate it. That's really nice of you. You're so nice, Noah. Thank you for being so kind all the time. But today is really exciting because we have a guest on live, which is really cool. And this guest is a TikToker. See, this is why I had to stop the live and make sure I was recording it. So that's what happened to Noah. But a TikToker and an occupational therapist, which is a really cool line. So I'm excited for you to meet her. Just born like that. You are so sweet, Noah. You're the best.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to talk with you.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to ask you questions.
Yes, ask away.
So, what made you want to get into occupational therapy?
That's a great question. I have to probably think back to when I was a lot younger, preteen. Someone in my family member actually had to go to therapy, and I noticed that the therapists were doing a lot of cool activities. Mainly looked like they were just playing games, if I'm going to be honest. And I thought, well, that looks like a fun job. You're just playing games all day. But obviously, as I went to school and I studied, I learned that they weren't just playing games. They were using everyday activities in a therapeutic manner to address these deficits like coordination or trunk control or balance. So I think that's what really sparked my interest in occupational therapy.
Yeah, that's cool. You've heard of people doing coordinating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then what inspired you to also work in nursing homes?
Well, I've always volunteered in nursing homes since I was a teen. Just kind of visiting with the residents and talking with them, doing activities, bringing treats, and it's actually really sad and lonely in there. It's really depressing. I don't know if any of you have any family members who are in a nursing home, but give them a call. Anyways, kind of after seeing that, it really, I have a very tender spot for that. But I also did my clinical rotations in a few nursing homes, and I really enjoyed being there with someone towards the end of their life.
Yeah.
So it's nice to kind of give someone a little love or hope or encouragement, towards the end of their life. I feel privileged to be there with them. Yeah.
For sure. And also you have a big following on TikTok. People love your TikToks. I think you've seen your TikTok. I think so. But what made you want to make your based around occupational therapy?
First of all, thank you for that. I've been on there actually since last year, and I had trouble growing my account, but I've kind of learned how to post interesting content there. But well, it's something that I'm passionate about. I really enjoy doing what I do. It gives me purpose and meaning in my life. It's not just a job. I can get very burned out. If you follow me on Instagram, I post sometimes about feeling burned out and tired. But I mean, aside from those days, I really enjoy it. Like I love connecting with my patients, and I really enjoy the environment. We can do activities with them and whatnot. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Hmm. And a lot of people, like especially on these, they wanna post content on Instagram, wanna post content on TikTok or be a TikTok. They're kind of scared to do it. Like when you started, was it a spontaneous thing for you, or were you kind of at it for a while, or were you kind of scared to do it, or was it something that came easy to you?
Well, you're breaking up a little bit, so I'm going to try my best. I hope I answer your question correctly. Um, was I nervous to start posting? Is that what you were wanting to know? Yeah, okay. Well, I was. Um, a lot of the first videos that I created actually are on private. I didn't know what I was doing. I
Yeah.
actually didn't post about myself. I posted about my pets. I was one of those people posting like cute or funny videos. But then every time I had an idea, like something funny or interesting, it always was kind of revolving around OT. And I was like, no one knows me on TikTok. It doesn't matter if I look silly or dumb. Who cares? Like, it's just private. So that's kind of how I started. And in the beginning, I didn't really get very much interaction. Not many people um, followed me, left me comments or liked, which is fine. I was still learning the ropes, but I think once I became more comfortable with myself and my passions and not focus on trying to be like trendy or cool, I feel like that's when I really blossomed. And people started really interacting with me more. I was like, I feel like I'm exposing myself right now, but people seem to like that. Whereas before in the beginning, I was trying really hard. I really do my makeup and do tons of takes and retakes. And now I just post. And I leave it there for the most part, unless it's like really bad. I might private something, but that's very rare. I usually just leave my posts up, and people from all over the world have invited me, like Australia. I'm like, whoa, cool, welcome.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who are international here, and it's so cool to see
Yeah,
people from other countries. But also, you're a proud Latina, which is really cool. And you just
yeah.
and so like working in healthcare, being a Latina, and also in Tennessee, where maybe there's not always representation.
You're breaking up a little bit again, but I'm going to do my best to answer. So, being a Latina in healthcare has been interesting. um, you know, I actually started practicing in Florida, and I don't know, are you familiar with Florida? Like, it's diverse, yeah. Like, you have Miami, you have a lot of Cubans there, and it was fine. People actually loved that I was bilingual, and I got paid a little bit more for that. But when I moved to Tennessee, which is where I'm currently practicing, it was kind of like odd, I think, to see someone with curly hair. I don't even really think like I'm that tan, but I'm obviously a lot more tan than or darker. I have more melatonin than my coworkers. So I actually had a lot of people ask me my first day, "Are you American? Were you born here?" They didn't even ask me if I was American. They said, "Were you born here?" That was like the first question.
That's so
It was weird. I actually was walking down the hall to a patient's room, and another staff member hollered at me, hey, you, what's your name? I was like, Tiffany. They're like, were you born here? I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awkward. Why? What does it matter?
that's
Um,
so
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I do work in rural Tennessee. Like, there is no diversity where I work. Um, I had to pray about it because honestly, I was kind of upset. And I was like, next time someone asks me, I'm gonna like be like, well, were you born here? Where are you from? And actually, that's one thing I kind of did, just to kind of help people realize maybe how they're coming off. I'd ask, well, where are you from? Where are you born? And people always laughed at me. They're like, I'm American. I'm white. And I thought, okay, well, I guess I could just say I'm brown. That doesn't make sense. I don't get it. But anyways, I think one of the hardest things though were my patients. When a patient is aggressive or rude with you in healthcare, we're just kind of expected to take it.
Yeah.
We're not really expected to even really defend ourselves. And I had a patient almost made me cry. He had a really thick Southern accent, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I was asking him to do some exercises, and he said, what did he say? He said, why don't you just speak American? He said, didn't you hear me speak American? He was so rude about it. I almost started crying because I was like, I speak more clear, proper English than you. I didn't say that, but I was like, I don't understand why you're attacking me. So it was really hard. It was hard. And I think a lot of Latinos kind of get negative comments like that, but we just have to be bigger than that, I guess, and not fight
Yeah.
with people.
And especially in the South, it feels like I lived in the South for a while. Like stuff
Oh, did
happens
you?
like that a lot. Yeah. And what advice would you give to those who are in places where there's not representation and they just like, because that can affect your self-esteem, and even though they should be, proud of where they came from and proud of who they are, so what advice would you give to people to kind of be proud of themselves? And
I would say it's okay to be assertive.
yeah.
When I was a student, my clinical educators, what we call them, clinical educators, fieldwork instructors, they would receive rude comments and they would never correct the patient. They just kind of go
Yeah.
and move on, which is fine. But now I'm a practitioner. I do correct my patients, and I'm not mean. I'm not like, well, blah blah. I just tell them, actually, I'm American. I'll say, I'm American. I was born here. And then, like I said, just to help bring awareness, I always ask, well, where are you from? Are you born here? And that always catches people off guard. And I think it makes them realize what they're doing, that they're stereotyping me.
Yeah.
Because, and sometimes, a lot of times people laugh at me and go, oh, obvious, I'm white. They always say I'm white or I'm from here. Or if they're not white, they'll say, well, obviously here. And I'll say, oh, okay, well, it's just that I know, you don't have to be necessarily Hispanic to be an immigrant. And I'll say, like, I might mention a celebrity or someone I know who's white or European
Yeah.
that's not American. And that's what I do. But I would just say, don't be afraid to call someone out. Don't be ugly. Because honestly, if something happens, you don't want the patient to file an incident report and say, oh, that therapist was so demeaning, because they might take the side of the patient most of the time. They might say you're being verbally abusive. If you intimidate someone, that's actually considered a form of abuse that can be reported. So, but just be assertive. Say, actually, no, I'm this, or, well, that's not appropriate. I don't say that. I've had patients make racist comments, and I'm not going to repeat them here. Not even about myself, but and I will correct them. I'll say that's not appropriate. Don't speak that way. But then I leave it that way. I don't get into politics or argue. It's just not the place. So
Yeah.
just be assertive, say what you need to say, and move on.
Yeah. And how's it working in healthcare with COVID-19? Like,
Oh,
is it just crazy?
it is and it isn't. So I work in a nursing home, and a lot of them, you guys have heard, have become like infected, and some of the residents die. They already had like COPD or heart conditions, pulmonary conditions. Thankfully for me in our facility, we haven't had any patients pass away from COVID. We've
Okay.
had 2 people test positive, but we were able to catch it soon enough where they were gone and they were asymptomatic.
Oh.
So, yeah, which is so strange, actually. Actually, it was 3 people and they're all asymptomatic. The biggest effect that we feel, though, is a lack of work opportunity. So if you're a therapist, be thankful you have a job. Try not to complain. But it's tough because there are things maybe about the company you may not like. And usually you might be able to just say, well, I don't like the way they do things here, I'll switch. But a lot of therapists, and I was just talking about myself, I'm just speaking in general, feel like stuck. You can't just switch because there's not a job. And today we actually talked about merging our facility with another nursing home because the other one doesn't have enough of a census, so enough patients. So basically, people aren't getting their hours. So what happens when you merge 2 companies like that? You're going to have people who are fired. Yeah. So we're talking about that today. Like, who would be fired? Would it be you? Would it be the physical therapist? Would it be the speech therapist? Would it be the assistants? And sadly, what my supervisor told me was like, well, you'd probably keep your job, Tiffany, because they have to have me to evaluate and discharge patients. But they were saying, yeah, we'd probably lose an assistant, an OT assistant. And that made me really sad and probably physical therapy assistant. And there might be a speech therapist who loses their job. So, I mean, when you have bills or you have kids or payments and you hear you might lose your job, it makes you get anxiety. So I think that's the hardest part of, for us in my setting, not having any patients die from COVID. I think that's the hardest thing about working with COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a certain message that you want to bring in your content creation, like just an overall message or just something you want to spread awareness about?
That's a great question. I have so many interests. It actually was really hard for me to even narrow down my account to one aspect of OT because you can do like educating, inspiring, comedy. There's all sorts of OT accounts. I think though, as a person, I just love to inspire people and make them smile, or I like to make people feel relieved. Like if they're struggling with something, I like to provide something to them to make them go, I feel better. So I probably would say overall that's what my account is. Like when I provide educational tips for students, I do it because I want them to go, I feel so much better. Like now I know I can do it. Or if it's like for someone who had a stroke, like I might provide some techniques, some little tips for like getting dressed or feeding themselves. I want people to see my video and go, I didn't know that I could be independent again. If I could just buy this thing online or use this little trick. So I think overall, that's probably my main thing is just I like to inspire people and make them smile. Through different forms, like educating or comedy, but that's probably the main thing.
Yeah, it's really helpful. I love what you're doing.
Thank you, Caroline. I really appreciate that. And I'm glad that I met you, and I appreciate the time you're giving me to talk.
Yeah, totally. I love your TikTok too. Where can people find you? Like, what's your TikTok handle, Instagram? I mean, people see your Instagram, but.
Yeah. So I'm trying my best to keep all my handles the same. So on TikTok, I am Tiffany Christine, and then underscore OT. And then I'm actually also on YouTube, same thing as Tiffany Christine underscore OT. I'm kind of new to social media. I didn't really start posting much until, I started last year around November, but it was just for fun. I didn't really take it seriously until February. So I don't have a lot on YouTube. I have just like a tip for students, but I would love to post more as I learn how to do more present on social media.
Yeah. Tips for students is definitely a good one because so many people here are students and we talk about like school and studying all the time and just stuff for students. So definitely check that out. And thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you, Caroline. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too. Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye. And thank you to everybody's watching. You're amazing. Love you.